President Donald Trump signed an executive order on Thursday to begin dismantling the U.S. Department of Education, aiming to transfer education authority back to the states. This move fulfills a long-standing conservative objective, but raises questions for public schools, student loan holders, and parents. The executive order directs Education Secretary Linda McMahon to take all necessary steps to facilitate the closure of the Department of Education. However, completely abolishing the department requires congressional approval, as it was established by Congress in 1979. Recognizing the current lack of necessary votes, the administration plans to significantly reduce the department's size and functions. In a ceremony held in the East Room, President Trump, surrounded by school children seated at classroom desks, stated, "We're going to shut it down, and shut it down as quickly as possible." He justified the decision by citing unsatisfactory test scores and literacy rates despite high educational expenditures. Trump expressed confidence that without the federal department, schools could better compete internationally, saying, "I really believe that they'll be as good as any of them." White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt noted that while the department's size would be greatly minimized, essential functions such as student loans and administering grants for at-risk students would continue under other federal agencies. Trump emphasized that these services would be redistributed to various other agencies and departments that will take very good care of them. The Department of Education currently oversees funding for public and private schools, federal grants, and student loans. Dismantling the department could disrupt these financial flows, potentially affecting vulnerable students and causing logistical challenges. The executive order has drawn criticism from educators and Democratic lawmakers. Randy Weingarten, head of the American Federation of Teachers, voiced strong opposition, and a Reuters Ipsos poll indicated that 65% of respondents oppose closing the Department of Education. Trump's action reflects a broader campaign against what he describes as liberal indoctrination in schools and colleges across the United States. The move aligns with conservative preferences for local control and school choice options, but raises concerns among liberal education advocates who support robust funding for public schools. As the administration proceeds with its plans, the future of federal involvement in education and its impact on students, educators, and institutions remain subjects of intense debate and scrutiny. Trump's economic plan relies heavily on tariffs, which he claims will generate enough revenue to fund another large tax cut. However, these tariffs, along with retaliatory tariffs from trading partners, will largely be paid by working-class and poor Americans, while the wealthiest will reap the benefits of the tax cuts. This amounts to a massive upward transfer of wealth. Trump has made bold promises about the revenue tariffs will create. "We will take in trillions and trillions of dollars and create jobs like we have never seen before," he told Congress. On Air Force One, he boasted, "We're going to become so rich you're not going to know where to spend all that money." However, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget estimates Trump's proposed tariffs on China, Mexico, and Canada would generate only $120 billion annually, far short of Trump's claims. Despite this, Trump has ordered the creation of an external revenue service to collect tariff revenue, aiming to reduce the national debt and eventually eliminate income taxes. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick explained the plan. The goal is very simple: to abolish the Internal Revenue Service and let all the outsiders pay. But this idea is flawed. The U.S. raises about $3 trillion annually from income taxes, roughly matching its $3 trillion in imports. To replace income taxes, tariffs would need to be 100% on all imported goods, an unrealistic scenario. More importantly, tariffs are paid by Americans, not foreign countries. For example, if Walmart buys a Chinese coffee maker for $20, a 60% tariff adds $12, raising the cost to $32. Walmart will pass that extra cost on to consumers. The company has already warned it plans to increase prices due to Trump's tariffs. Trump's sweeping tariffs will also provoke retaliation. China has imposed new tariffs on U.S. farm products, while the EU hit $28 billion worth of American exports, including whiskey and beef, products from Republican-leaning states. Trump threatened a 200% tariff on European alcohol in response. Canada added $21 billion in tariffs on U.S. goods. Trump's first-term trade war offers a warning. His tariffs on China cost American families nearly $80 billion, hitting lower-income households hardest. Retaliatory tariffs reduced U.S. agricultural exports by $27 billion and increased farm bankruptcies by 20%. American manufacturing also shrank, with nearly 300,000 jobs lost. Now Trump plans even bigger tariffs, starting with 25% levies on imports from Canada and Mexico. This could cost the average U.S. household an extra $1,200 annually, or up to $4,000 if broader tariffs are enacted. Trump claims tariff revenue will offset his new tax cuts, which will again favor the wealthy. In reality, working Americans will pay the price through higher costs, making this yet another massive wealth transfer to the rich. If you like this news and want more updates relating to this, please like, share, and subscribe. During a Tuesday interview on the Ingram Angle, U.S. President Donald Trump harshly criticized Canada, calling it one of the nastiest countries to deal with. Speaking with Fox News host Laura Ingraham, he argued that Canada should essentially be America's 51st state due to the financial support the U.S. provides. Canada was meant to be the 51st state because we subsidized Canada by $200 billion a year, Trump claimed. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We don't need anything. When Ingraham noted that he seemed tougher on Canada than on major U.S. adversaries, Trump insisted, only because it's meant to be our 51st state. Asked whether this approach could push Canada closer to China, Trump was dismissive. One of the nastiest countries to deal with is Canada, he said. He then took aim at Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, mockingly calling him Governor Trudeau and accusing him and his team of dishonesty. His people were nasty and they weren't telling the truth, Trump claimed. Trump also blasted Canada's trade practices, specifically its agricultural tariffs. Do you know that Canada has a 250% tariff? 250? Nobody knows that. They charge us numbers that are crazy, he said, accusing Canada of exploiting U.S. farmers. He argued the U.S. had a very big deficit with Canada, rejecting Ingraham's claim of $60 billion, insisting it was much more. Although most U.S. goods enter Canada tariff-free, Trump criticized Canada's steep tariffs on dairy and poultry products under its supply management system. When Ingram suggested Trump's stance could strengthen Canada's Liberal Party and drive it closer to China, he brushed it off. I don't really care, he said, adding that conservative leader Pierre Poilievre was no friend of mine. Trump concluded by slamming Canada's defense spending. Canada pays very little for defense. They think we're going to defend them, he said, accusing the country of relying too heavily on the U.S. in NATO. Trump delivers scathing insult to Fox News' Jacqui Heinrich. See Fox News. Donald Trump directed a harsh insult at Fox News anchor Jacqui Heinrich, pictured right, suggesting she should work for the liberal-leaning CNN instead after she criticized his Tesla-themed event at the White House. The president transformed the South Lawn into a Tesla showroom last week, showcasing 5 different models, including the controversial Cybertruck on the driveway. Experts alarmed by Trump aide Stephen Miller's bold new strategy. No one is laughing. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller has returned to the White House with renewed strength and determination to drive President Donald Trump's MAGA agenda, particularly on immigration. According to journalists Nick Myroff and Jonathan Lemire, Miller, also Trump's Homeland Security advisor, has built a reputation for creative zealotry by exploiting obscure presidential powers to bypass court orders. While some of his previous proposals were dismissed as far-fetched by government lawyers and West Wing officials, no one is laughing now, Myroff and Lemire warned in The Atlantic. Miller's latest strategy is described as more aggressive and calculated. The White House point person on immigration is pursuing a strategy that is bedeviling his opponents and could provoke a constitutional crisis, wrote Myroff and Lemire. This time, Miller is taking a different approach, they explained. He has adopted a flood-the-zone tactic inspired by former MAGA strategist Stephen Bannon, launching a barrage of policy proposals simultaneously. Drawing on policy ideas worked up in conservative think tanks during the 4 years between Trump's terms, Miller's plan has been to fire off so many different proposals that some inevitably find a friendly court ruling, 3 administration officials told us, the authors revealed. The strategy gives Miller multiple ways to seal the border, shut down the U.S. asylum system, and ramp up deportations, the writers noted. However, they described the administration's recent use of the Alien Enemies Act and its refusal to comply with a court order regarding deportation flights as Miller's most brazen gambit yet. Legal scholars say that the Trump administration's deportation flights have pushed the country closer to a constitutional crisis than any other moves it has made, Miroff and Lemire concluded. Miller has also joined other top officials, including Trump, in publicly criticizing the federal judge who issued the order blocking the deportation flights.